jaded New Yorkers scratching their heads. A mysterious, silver, shiny object, or objects, it seems, floating in the sky yesterday. You can see all the people have stopped in the street there in their tracks looking at it. Some folks say they saw lights. Others were maybe waiting for little green men to arrive.
It was Centerville, a buzz tonight, a bright blue light spotted moving in the sky.
And here's what she captured, this bright, fiery light moving across the sky.
Sea surveyors say they found what can only be described as the wreckage of a crashed spaceship.
That's good proof, right? Stacey Gibson can't tell you what she captured on home video, but she can tell you she's never seen anything like that.
You got to see it for yourself. These residents saw the light hovering in the sky that Monday night.
A North Canton couple is trying to figure out what it was that they saw in the sky over their home just a few days ago. Mysterious, unexplained, orange-colored objects.
Karen, they tell us that they saw lights, but those lights were not from an airplane or a helicopter, and these lights dropped something as they hung low over the sky. Mike was in the Air Force and says the lights hovering in the sky were unlike any he had seen.
Um objeto luminoso foi visto no céu pelos moradores que, espantados, ligaram para a polícia.
Siete las esferas que lograron verse en el centro de Lima, en lugares como el de la Avenida España.
Maybe it's a comet. Could be. It could be. Maybe these are our last moments. It could be.
Here comes another one.
What?
What?
I don't know if I'm getting it or not.
Oh, the top is even metallic.
I see that view every single night, and I've never seen anything in the sky at that same location or at the same height. I've never seen those sort of lights up in the sky.
Eines der beliebtesten Themen, die sich die New Age durch die Wahrheitsbewegung zunutze macht, handelt sich um UFOs und Außerirdische. Viele von den Leuten wie David Wilcock, David Icke, Jordan Maxwell und viele andere haben tatsächlich das Konzept bestätigt, dass das UFO-Phänomen nichts mit Wesen aus Fleisch und Blut zu tun haben müssen, aber eine Rasse hochentwickelter spirituelle Entitäten darstellen sollen, die eine Gottheit erreicht haben und Macht über die Gesetze der Physik und Natur besitzen, während wir dem noch ausgeliefert sind. Das hat eine unheimliche Ähnlichkeit zu dem heiligen Versprechen, welches den inneren Mitgliedern der neuen Weltordnung gegeben wird. Es ist ebenfalls das gleiche Konzept, welches von Transhumanisten unterstützt werden und der angebliche Weg, Singularität und Unsterblichkeit zu erreichen, durch das Nutzen von Technologien im biologischen und genetischen Bereich. Ich denke, dass all diese verschiedenen Sparten zum selben Ort und selben Ziel führen. Heutzutage glauben mehr Menschen an außerirdisches Leben als je zuvor. Eine von Scripps gestellte Umfrage von 2008 zeigt, dass 74% der 18- bis 24-Jährigen ein intelligentes Leben auf einem anderen Planeten für wahrscheinlich halten. Das begründet sich wohl auf verschiedenen Faktoren, wie das derzeitige Wachstum der Wissenschaft und das Verständnis in der Größe und Weite des Universums, aber auch auf die Propaganda, die von unseren Medien kommt. Science Fiction explodierte auf der ganzen Welt durchs Fernsehen, Kino und durch Videospiele. Könnte das alles Teil des Plans sein, die Menschheit auf eine Enthüllung vorzubereiten?
I think the New Age, as well as the mainstream sort of media, and I mean like movies and television shows, and everybody's been shoving this alien UFO thing down our throats because it has so many uses for the Antichrist system. I've said many times, I don't know if this is the way that it will all be set up. It is just a really convenient way if it does go down like this, because it does do three main things that are needed for the Antichrist system. Number one, it causes the world to reject God. We've been sold this erroneous idea that if aliens exist, then God doesn't. So the headlines the day after would read, you know, God proven wrong or whatever. The whole world would be united in its rejection of God overnight. So that certainly would play in, obviously, to the biblical account of this world order at the end of time. Also, we would believe ourselves to be God. This one would take a little bit longer to sink in, but the idea that aliens, in a real sort of evolution kind of way, just evolved, and that it could be sold to us that they were somehow our creators in the sense that they genetically modified us, or they might have some excuse to the origin of life or something to that effect. Ultimately, we would see them as gods in the sense of their perhaps abilities or their technological advancement, and it really depends on this point of how and what they say about us, if they say anything, or if in the discovering of them that it is implied in some way that we ourselves could be like them and therefore like gods. And that really goes into the third part, which is the evolution. I think that this concept of evolution is crucial to so much of what the Antichrist system does, especially the genocide based on belief system that happens in the end time scenario, really requires, as it did in the Third Reich, an idea of evolution. There's a concept that there's certain people that are not fit for the new system, the new evolution. They were sort of helping humanity evolve by the elimination of those that weren't ready for the new age, the new world. Hitler believed in the fifth root race of Blavatsky, but yet I think this new system is going to have a very unique version of evolution. And of course, the appearance of aliens really validates that on a worldwide scale. No longer do you have to, have this sort of underground preaching of theosophy as it was in Hitler's time, but rather the whole world is united in this understanding or perceived understanding of potential evolution coming. After all, the aliens are here. We can be like them. They just simply evolved like we have the potential to do. We can become like them. We can communicate telepathically or whatever, as long as we are willing to take that next step. And there's this great precipice that we're now at this ability to move to this next level, but it's all going to be in the context of God has just recently been disproven, but yet there will be people on earth that can't quite go with the new system because they're stuck in the old paradigm of God does exist and the Bible was accurate and these aliens are a deception. Those people will be presented as enemy number one and will be viewed as the thing that's holding us back from the potential evolution.
UFOs and ETs in the Bible? Interesting question. We got to define our terms a little bit, I think, right? So, in as far as there were sons of God coming down, there were demons coming down, then yes, there are aliens, because the demons of yesterday are today's aliens. That's really the bottom line. There are not aliens from some distant galaxy or from the Pleiades system or anything like that. They are very much from here. They're demonic, and so, in as far as there were demons, then yes. But we can't call them demons or gods from yesteryear, because that's really out of fashion. But you can call them aliens because now they're from some other place and they evolved. It's interesting how evolution has served as such a foundation for this. You know, God, I mean, the demons, Satan gets us thinking that there is no God, that there is no Satan or any demons. But then he starts replacing it with these other entities. And we believe in evolution, you know, lots of people do. And so that serves as the foundation for these otherworldly beings that have also evolved, not by God, mind you, but they're you know, they've evolved from a long time ago. And as far as UFOs, well, UFO is an unidentified flying object. And we're seeing those today. People are seeing those all over the place. And generally what they look like is just some kind of a white light. It's a white ball of light or something like this that's floating around in the sky, and people will say, oh, it's a kite. Now we can all see what a kite looks like. They're not helicopters. We know what helicopters look like. We're not stupid, right? Neither are the people that take all these videos, and you can watch them on YouTube, and there's just thousands of them. And you know, I'm sure there's a few pranksters out there, right? But sure, but still, just the quantity and even the quality of the video is such that you're like, wow, that's really amazing. So in the Old Testament, you find places where the heavens were opened. For example, in 2 Kings chapter 6, Elijah and his servant are surrounded by the Syrians. They wake up one morning and the servant goes outside and he sees all these guys. He's like, oh boy. He goes back in and says, Master, we're done. And Elijah, you know, he's just very calm and he prays, oh Lord, I pray you'd open his eyes. And so God opens the young man's eyes and he looks all around him and he sees these horses and chariots of fire. Now that's interesting. Why would God need to use chariots of fire? Well, I don't know the answer. I mean, you'd think you could just go, you know, kind of Star Trek kind of thing. You know, you go from here to there. But for some reason, in that other dimension, you have horses of fire, you got these chariots of fire, and these things are going around. And in some way, I would suspect that the demons are kind of doing the same thing. I don't know if they're on horses of fire necessarily, but when they materialize, they look like these fiery white orbs. And you know, however they're transporting themselves, I don't know. But it's not like they can just think it and they're there, but they have to somehow travel, they have to traverse through whatever medium, the spiritual medium or through the physical medium. They're actually moving about. So again, I wouldn't say that we have, you know, what we call technical UFOs back then, but you did have these horses and chariots of fire in that angelic spiritual realm. There's movement going on. Angels have wings. Again, why would they have wings? Right? Is there air in that? These are questions we just don't know.
Right.
You know, we just don't know the answer to these things. But still, there's a function for these things. If they have wings, then they must need them. If there are horses and chariots of fire, then they must need those in some capacity that I don't understand. And we're not really told. But still, there it is. So, what we're seeing today is a resurgence. And we're not so much a resurgence, we're seeing a breakthrough of that realm into our own. And those demons are coming through. Somehow they're being able to manifest in this realm. I don't know how they do that, but they're doing it. They're manifesting, and they're up in the skies. I mean, millions of people have seen these things.
Right.
You even have sort of more famous people like Ronald Reagan. He claimed to have seen something a number of times. Jimmy Carter, Barry Goldwater, Douglas MacArthur. All right, just to name a few of the presidents. You have other world leaders. You have Michio Kaku, who's a real famous physicist.
Let me make a prediction, and that is sometime by mid-century, we might make contact with an intelligent civilization in outer space.
Plus you have, you know, just lots and lots of astronauts. They say that every time that we had a mission, we were being followed by something. We were being watched. We saw some craft. We saw something, right? And you can watch some of these videos that have been released by NASA, and you can see these things out there, right? So there's definitely something out there. The question is, what is it?
Wissenschaftler, die sich mit diesem Thema über UFOs und Außerirdische schon seit Jahrzehnten beschäftigen und selbst mit Religion nichts zu tun haben, sind zu sehr interessanten Ergebnissen gekommen. Jack Vallée, ein Risikokapitalgeber, Computerwissenschaftler, Autor, Ufologe und ehemaliger Astronom, der beim Bau des Internetvorläufers mitwirkte, hat das UFO-Phänomen seit über 3 Jahrzehnten studiert. Nachdem er der Beziehung zwischen UFOs, Kulte, religiösen Bewegungen, Dämonen, Engeln, Geister und psychischen Phänomenen auf den Grund ging, endete er seine Hypothese, dass es sich bei dem UFO-Phänomen um einen extraterrestrischen Ursprung, in anderen Worten Fahrzeuge und Wesen aus anderen Planeten oder einer anderen Galaxie handelt, zu einer multidimensionalen Erscheinungshypothese oder einer interdimensionalen. In seinem Buch Messengers of Deception schreibt Vallée: Menschliche Wesen sind unter der Kontrolle seltsamer Mächte, welche sie auf absurde Weise verbiegt und sie dazu zwingt, eine Rolle in einem bizarren Täuschungsspiel zu spielen. Später schreibt er im selben Buch: Die UFO-Erscheinungen repräsentieren eine Manifestation einer Realität, die unserem derzeitigen Verstand der Physik überschreitet. Die UFOs sind physikalische Manifestationen, die jenseits ihrer physischen und zeichenhaften Welt nicht verstanden werden können. Was wir sehen, ist keine Alien-Invasion. Es ist ein Kontrollsystem, welches auf die Menschheit einwirkt und Menschen benutzt. J. Allen Hynek, ein US-Astronom, Professor und Ufologe, der für seine Beiträge im Bereich UFOs bekannt ist und in der US Air Force als wissenschaftlicher Berater an UFO-Untersuchungen beteiligt war, kam zur selben Schlussfolgerung, was das UFO-Phänomen angeht. In seinem Buch The Edge of Reality schreibt er, Zitat: Wenn UFOs einfache Gerätetechnik eines anderen sind, müssen wir uns trotzdem erklären, wie so etwas Greifbares seine Form vor unseren Augen ändern kann, wie eine Grinsekatze verschwindet, ohne überhaupt ein Grinsen zu hinterlassen, augenscheinlich vor uns zerschmilzt oder auf mysteriöse Weise auftaucht, ohne sichtbare Entdeckung der in der Nähe befindlichen Personen und Nachbarsdörfer. Wir müssen uns auch Gedanken darüber machen, wo sich UFOs verstecken, wenn sie sich nicht vor dem menschlichen Auge manifestieren. Zitat Ende. Die übergreifende Einstimmigkeit scheint die zu sein, dass sich diese Objekte, die gesehen wurden, die Fähigkeit haben, sich physisch zu manifestieren und gleichzeitig Zeit und Raum manipulieren, um unsichtbar zu werden oder Luftmanöver zu starten, die unser Verständnis in Physik und Natur überschreitet. Der tiefere Teil dieses Phänomens sind die Entführungsberichte, die von Millionen von Menschen auf der ganzen Welt erfasst wurden, unabhängig der Zeit, Rasse, Kultur und Erziehung. Dr. John Mack, Professor der Harvard-Medizinschule, Psychiater und Buchautor, untersuchte das UFO- und Entführungsphänomen ebenfalls mehrere Jahrzehnte und kam zu ähnlichen Ergebnissen wie Vallée und Hynek. Auch wenn er kürzlich verstarb, wird sein Beitrag zur Studie der Ufologie und Alien-Entführungen sehr angepriesen und respektiert. In einem Interview mit Nova Online antwortete er, als er gefragt wurde, ob das Phänomen physisch oder psychisch wäre, Zitat: Ja, es ist beides. Es passiert zu einem gewissen Grad physisch und ist ebenso eine Art psychologische, spirituelle Wahrnehmung, welche sich vielleicht in einer anderen Dimension ereignet und entsteht. Das Phänomen strapaziert uns oder verlangt uns das sogar ab, um uns Realitäten zugänglich machen zu können, die nicht einfach aus einer buchstäblich physischen Welt besteht, sondern sich zu einer Möglichkeit erweitert, dass andere ungesehene Realitäten existieren, die von unserem Bewusstsein und unserem Lernprozess der letzten Jahrhunderte abgeriegelt werden. Zitat Ende.
What seems to be the case is they come from some other domain, some place, maybe not another star or maybe from another dimension, but they manifest, they show up here in our physical world. People have a number of cases where people are just playing gone, a child comes into the mother's room, Mom, you weren't there during the night when I came, there is burned earth outside where the ships have landed. There is physical, it may not satisfy our criteria of proof, but proof may be something which only operates within the frame of evidence of this physical world in the box you mentioned before that we live in. This is what's going on here is something in some ways more subtle. In other words, something that's coming from another dimension into our world, which is very commonly experienced in other cultures, but not in this culture.
John Mack, who recently passed away, but he was at Harvard, And according to his own testimony, he says, I was not a believer in this thing. He wasn't trying to prove anything. He just kept hearing about these things. So he came to this conclusion that these were real physical abductions. Very, very slowly he came to that conclusion. And rather skeptically. He didn't want to come to that conclusion. But eventually the data was so much that he could not overcome it. And he had to just say, well, it's happening. Something physical is happening. Dr. David Jacobs has done similar research. He was quite upbeat about this whole thing for a long time. But in the last several years, he's become very downcast about his discoveries, because he's discovering that these beings that are taking people are smarter than us, they're stronger than us, and they have a hybridization program going on. Right. That they're creating a hybrid race to take over, and he says at best we're going to be second-class serfs. So he's very discouraged, and I can see why. I think if you discover these things, and yet you don't understand that there's a greater power, which is Jesus Christ, who has a much better plan, then I would be extremely depressed. And in a way I'm sort of upbeat about the whole thing, because I see that we are getting very close to the end. Right. But it's also kind of scary. There's crazy things going on.
Dr. David Jacob, ein außerordentlicher Geschichtsprofessor der Temple University im Fachbereich amerikanische Geschichte und Kultur des 20. Jahrhunderts, hat ebenso das UFO- und Entführungsphänomen über 40 Jahre lang studiert. In seinem Interview mit I.A. Masouli im Buch Alien Interviews kommentiert Jacob das Alien-Entführungsphänomen. Zitat: Das ist ein Phänomen, welches entweder psychologisch ist oder wirklich passiert. Es gibt kaum etwas dazwischen. Ich habe gelernt, dass das Entführungsphänomen enorm und global ist und in einer sehr hohen Häufigkeit vorkommt. Zitat Ende. Whitley Strieber schreibt in seinem Buch Die Besucher über seine selbst erlebte Begegnung mit Außerirdischen. Ein Gefühl von extremer Furcht überkam mich. Die Angst war so kräftig, dass es den Anschein machte, meine Persönlichkeit komplett aufzulösen. Whitley hat aufgehört zu existieren. Was zurückblieb, war ein Körper und ein Zustand purer Angst, die so groß war, dass sie sich wie eine dicke und erstickende Decke über mich legte und meine Paralyse in einem Zustand brachte, der dem Tod sehr nahe war. Ich starb und stattdessen erschien ein wildes Tier. Zitat Ende. In einer späteren Freigabe des Buches Transformation, eine wahre Geschichte, geht er näher in diese Erfahrung ein. Zitat: Ich fühlte zunehmend, dass ich es mit einem Kampf zu tun hatte, bei dem es vielleicht sogar mehr als nur um Leben und Tod ging. Es könnte um meine Seele gehen, meine Essenz oder was auch immer Teil von mir ist, das einen eventuellen Bezug zur Ewigkeit hat. Ich vermutete, dass es schlimmere Sachen als den Tod gibt. Das Wort Dämon wurde unter den Wissenschaftlern und Doktoren, die mit mir arbeiteten, nie erwähnt. Alleine nachts machte ich mir über die sagenhafte Gerissenheit der Dämonen Sorgen. Am Ende wurde ich komplett verrückt. Zitat Ende. Im weiteren Verlauf schrieb er, Zitat: Ich empfand ein absolut unbeschreibliches Gefühl von Bedrohung. Da zu sein, in der Gegenwart dieser Wesenheiten, war die Hölle auf Erden. Und dennoch konnte ich mich nicht bewegen, konnte nicht schreien oder davonkommen. Ich lag da, als wäre ich tot. Leidete, innere Qualen, was auch immer da war, schien so fürchterlich hässlich, verdreckt, finster und teuflisch zu sein. Natürlich waren es Dämonen. Es mussten welche sein. Und sie waren hier und ich konnte nicht weg. Zitat Ende. Laut vielen Forschern dieses Feldes und den Menschen, die diese Erfahrung selbst erlebten, sind sie sich einig, dass es sich um ein spirituelles Element handelt, welches dieses Phänomen antreibt. Es ist klar, dass es sich bei den UFOs und Alien-Entführungen um eine metaphysische Eigenschaft handelt. Zudem sollten die erschreckenden Gemeinsamkeiten zwischen diesen Phänomenen und dem okkulten und anderen historisch-mythischen Berichten zu direkten Kontakt mit dämonischen Wesen alarmierend sein. Jack Vallée bezieht sich auf das Konzept. Zitat: Die symbolischen Darstellungen, die von den Entführten gesehen wurden, sind identisch mit den Einweihungsritualen oder Astralreisen, die in den Traditionen jeder okkulten Kultur mit einbezogen sind. Die Struktur der Entführungen ist identisch zu den okkulten Einweihungsritualen. Diese UFOs von heute gehören zu derselben Art Erscheinungsform, wie die okkulten Wesenheiten in vergangener Zeit beschrieben wurden. Zitat Ende. Es gibt eine andere Sichtweise zu diesem Phänomen, welche selten diskutiert wird, aber sehr wichtig ist. Das ist die Lösung, wie man dieses Alien-Entführungsphänomen unterbrechen kann. Joe Jordan, ein staatlicher Sektionsleiter und Feldforscher von MUFON, hat durch seine Investigation der CE4-Forschungsgruppe herausgefunden, dass das Aufrufen des Namens Jesus Christus das Geschehen augenblicklich unterbrechen lassen kann. Auf ihrer Webseite ce4research.com sieht der Missionsauftrag folgendermaßen aus. Die Mission der CE4-Forschungsgruppe ist, mit der ganzen Welt den stärksten bekannten Beweis zu teilen, der die Alienwesen aufdeckt und zeigt, was sie wirklich sind. Diesen Beweis bezeugen diejenigen, die diese Erfahrung, diese Unterdrückung, die Gefangenschaft, die Schikane, Kontrolle, Lügen und die Täuschung der Wesen überwunden haben, indem sie den Namen und die Autorität von Jesus Christus herausgerufen haben. Durch diesen Beweis, durch diese Zeugenaussagen werden wir in der Lage sein, anderen zu helfen. Die Welt fragt nach diesem Beweis und wir werden sie ihnen geben.
A lot of the people that have seen my videos know my testimony of how it all started with one book. On a vacation trip to visit my brother, I picked up one book, UFO Crash at Roswell, and it was like opening a doorway into something that would totally change my life. And it has, and it's changed a number of times since then, but that one started it. It put me on a quest to find out what this UFO phenomenon was about. And like I said, I came into it as an agnostic with an open mind and what I thought was total objectivity, and became a MUFON investigator. Was doing UFO investigations, sighting investigations for a few years, and then got caught up in what is called the New Age belief system and metaphysical studies, because, you know, it's part of this UFO phenomenon. It goes hand in hand. I was caught up in all of that too, and it changed my worldview again, from being, you know, an agnostic humanist to one who was into the New Age and actually practicing these metaphysical studies myself. And I was able to see the UFO phenomenon through another set of eyes. And then in 1996, I was shown the true gospel, where it actually caught my attention, and I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior in November of 1996. And now I was able to look at this phenomenon in yet another set of eyes. So initially, was this what I was looking for? No, it was not. Well, the first case I came across, I actually had interviewed this gentleman who claimed to have had an abduction experience, along with other sighting experiences and other what he felt were abduction experiences too. But we decided to interview him, and this was 6 months before I became a Christian. This was in the middle of 1996 that we did the interview with him. And he used to come to my monthly meetings, my MUFON meetings that I had. And he just wanted to share what he had been through, you know, and he had an interest because of his experiences in the UFO phenomenon. And myself and one of my lead investigators, actually my partner that helped me found CE4 in the very beginning, his name was Wes Clark. He was a very good investigator, worked for the Space Center at the time as a quality inspector, and he had a good organizational skill of helping do these investigations. And him and I interviewed this gentleman in his home for 2 hours on videotape, and just let him talk, and we asked some questions and would guide him along just to try to get all of his information. Well, we put it away, and we didn't see anything unusual at the time, and that was interesting in itself that we didn't catch this. But when I became a believer in November of 96, I was ready to put all of this away, because God showed me what this UFO experience was about, that there was a evil demonic side to it. And I felt that as a new Christian and wanting to do the things that God asked of me, that we shouldn't be involved in this, and I'd put it away. And God says, no, I got plans for you, and you need to take this message back to, you know, where you came from. And I said, you know, I can't take the Word of God back to these New Age people. I said, they don't believe it to be the inerrant Word of God. As a matter of fact, they don't even believe in God being a personal, you know, being, an entity that they can relate to. So I said, you got to give me something better. And nobody told me that as a new Christian you don't talk to God like that. But I did, not knowing any better. And he answered, and he says, guess what? You already have it. You just haven't seen it. and I couldn't understand what that meant at first. So I asked my partner, Wes, who was a Christian at the time, and I said, we've got something here somewhere that we need to go back and look at. We went back and looked at some of the cases that we had, and we pulled this particular one back out. It was a gentleman named Bill D. We pulled his video back out, plugged it into the VCR, and sat back and started watching and went, oh my. Do you remember hearing this? And Wes says, I don't. And we were sitting right there watching the gentleman and listening to him. But yet we were blinded and deafened at the time we did the recording. Nothing registered until this time when God said, go back and look, you already have it. And what he shared was an experience, atypical, abduction type experience, where he had been taken, experience being taken, and immediately panicked and in fear, and he himself, actually just being a brand new Christian, called out during this panic experience in saying, Jesus, Jesus, help me. And when he did that, in an instant, the experience abruptly stopped. And he felt like he was thrown back into his bed. He even startled his wife. She asked him why he was jumping on the bed. And he said, you know, when he shared that experience, he didn't understand what it meant. And when we heard that, we knew we had something. Because never before, in all the studies we had done of the other work that the top researchers had done in the country, you know, this was 15 years ago, the big names, never before had anybody said that an experience could be stopped. As a matter of fact, they all said that it wasn't possible to stop an experience. Okay? But yet we had a gentleman that said he did, and in a particular way. So I contacted these top researchers around the country, got their home phones, called them up. They're nice guys. They can talk. You can talk to them just like me and you were talking. Most of them are very nice gentlemen. And I've met them at the conferences over the years. And I said, guys, I've got a very unusual case here. I'd like to run it by you and see what you think. And after I shared the story, they all asked, can we go off the record? And I said, well, that's fine. I said, I'm just trying to get answers here. Well, when I say go off the record, that means I can't tell you who said what, but I can tell you what they said. Well, these guys, they said that, yes, we had come across similar cases where people had cried out in the name of Jesus, or had quoted scripture, or had sung a Christian hymn, and the experience stopped. And I said, really? And I said, first off, I've never read anywhere where you guys have said that an experience can even be stopped. And then second, I've never read where you stated where they could be stopped in any type of manner like this. And I said, why is that? And one of two answers or both answers would come out from each of these researchers. The first one was pretty common amongst them, was we didn't know what to make of it. But you know what? I would have been fine with that, because to me, that was an honest answer. I mean, I didn't know what to make of it either in the beginning. So I could relate to them on that answer, but they always would follow it with a second answer. And it was, we were afraid to go there, meaning the spiritual side of this, because it might affect our credibility in the UFO realm. So what I was seeing is they had research, evidence, part of the UFO puzzle that we've all been trying to put together. But they chose not to share it because of it affecting their credibility. Not that it was getting to the truth or it was completing an entire puzzle, but because of personal issues, personal agendas. And you know what that's called? It's called a cover-up. Throughout the UFO community, you hear government cover up this, government cover up that. But I'm telling you from experience in dealing with this type of case that there's been a cover-up all along by the researchers in this UFO community phenomenon that are supposedly giving us the truth and the answers to this experience. It's coming from them because they've got personal agendas. They only want to share certain things. You know, and if you ever follow these conferences that are going on out there, it's like they never give you the whole thing. You know, you get little bits and pieces. And I guess it's part of keeping you busy coming to their conferences. You know, but I've been sharing the same message for years now, the same evidence, and it still disturbs them.
Es gibt mehrere Zeugenaussagen auf ce4research.com und ich rate jedem, der von diesem Phänomen betroffen ist oder jemanden kennt, der es ist, sich das anzuschauen. Es ist zu wichtig, um es nicht zu tun. In einem Artikel auf hakenthewatchman.com im Titel Dämonen oder Außerirdische zittern vor dem Namen Jesus Christus kommt Dr. Stephen Yulish zu demselben Ergebnis und schreibt, Zitat: Ich glaube an UFOs und Außerirdische. Ich glaube nicht, dass ich Wahnvorstellungen habe oder halluziniere. Ich glaube, dass die Regierung dieses Phänomen vertuscht, auch wenn sie nicht die wahre Bedeutung erkennt. Diese Vertuschung ist Teil des spirituellen Krieges zwischen Gott und Satan. Dies sind daher ernste Themen. Zitat Ende.